Imagine this scenario. A genius engineering student comes up with a way to break inside the most secure bank on the planet by posing as a janitor, but he soon finds out that things don't go quite as he expected.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! I'm trying to think!
In 1645, a ship was sunk in the Atlantic Ocean, releasing chests with treasures that descended towards the bottom of the ocean. In September 2009, almost 400 years later, the remains of the ship were found by divers who were part of a salvaging operation led by Walter, a passionate archaeologist.
Stay until the job's done.
They retrieve chests with treasures and put them in a salvage basket, after which they use a crane to extract them from the water and put it onto their ship. The salvagers carefully clean the valuable items, intending to sell them afterwards. Since the operation isn't exactly legal, Walter rushes his divers to retrieve their real target. Divers proceed inside the wrecked ship while Walter monitors their progress through the cameras. James, one of the divers, comes out of the ship and cheerfully informs Walter that he found the unique treasure they were after. James comes back to the ship and has a drink with Walter, celebrating their success. But the joyful celebration is soon interrupted by boats and helicopters of the Spanish Coast Guard that surround Walter and his men and order them to surrender. Sometime later, Walter sued the Spanish government for the ownership of the treasure in an international court in The Hague.
This was piracy.
My crew and I invested years.
Despite Walter's passionate attempts to defend his claim to the treasure of Guadalupe, who was the owner of the destroyed ship, judges ultimately ruled against him, giving the ownership of the treasure to the Spanish government. Margaret, Walter's friend, later discusses with him what can be done now. He makes it clear that he intends to obtain the treasure again, even if it means breaking the law. Sometime later in Madrid, the capital of Spain, a large column of armored vehicles of the Spanish army delivers the treasure of Guadalupe to the vault of the Bank of Spain. Gustavo Medina, the head of security of the bank, comes down to greet the soldiers underground. They unload multiple crates with treasures and move them inside the vault using an elevator. Tom is an exceptionally gifted 22-year-old engineering student attending Cambridge University. His unique abilities attract the attention of recruiters from several oil companies.
$400,000 starting salary.
Despite receiving generous job offers, Tom declines them all. He tells his father later at dinner that he refuses to follow in his footsteps and work for big oil because he despises these companies. During the conversation, Tom receives a text message on his phone from somebody in the restaurant who asks him for a meeting. Following the directions in the messages, Tom arrives at the club where a high society event is held and proceeds inside. He awkwardly walks among the crowd for some time until he is met by a woman named Lorraine, who explains that she sent him the message. Observing how Lorraine stole a wallet from one of the rich guests, Tom realizes that she's a criminal and tries to leave. Lorraine cleverly manipulates him into staying.
Remain a law-abiding citizen. Make your daddy proud. It's okay.
Later, Lorraine introduces Tom to Walter. Impressed with Tom's abilities, Walter offers him a job. He wants to break into the most secure vault in the world, and he needs Tom's help to do it.
Not just looking for a solution to a problem. I don't know what the problem is.
Initially reluctant, Tom nevertheless listens carefully to Walter's arguments and tells him he'll think about it. From the description of the job, Tom figures out that the vault in question is the vault of the Bank of Spain. It is rumored to have an incredibly sophisticated lock mechanism that's impossible to crack. Tom likes the idea of solving the impossible problem, so he accepts the job and flies to Madrid. At the airport, he is met by Lorraine. They take a cab together and meet with Walter in his safe house.
You are very welcome.
Walter's team consists of Lorraine, a con artist, Klaus, a computer hacker, James, Walter's partner who retrieved the treasure of Guadalupe with him earlier, and Simon, an acquisitions expert. Members of the team don't take Tom seriously, asking Walter why they even need him.
He hasn't even mastered shaving, and he's gonna mastermind the infiltration.
Despite their attitude, Tom soon impresses them by finding an easy way to hack into the bank's system by tricking a low-rank employee into giving them a 9-digit key. Walter explains to Tom that he doesn't care about the golden artifacts that were taken by the Spanish government, but he does care about a unique object that had writing on it in Latin, Sic parvi magna. It's the famous motto of Francis Drake, who supposedly hid the location of all his treasures in 3 coins that were stored inside the chest that Walter found on that day.
30 years. I've searched for that.
Sometime later, the entire team gathers to discuss what they're up against. The bank itself is a fortress full of security cameras and barriers everywhere. It is heavily guarded by a large professional security force led by Gustavo Medina, a former Special Forces operative. If that wasn't bad enough, right across from the bank, there is the headquarters of the Spanish army that has a garrison of 500 troops, ready to defend the bank if necessary. Based on this, the only realistic way inside the vault is through the long underground tunnels that go all over Madrid. James and Simon infiltrate the tunnels through the Madrid subway, mapping their route for the upcoming heist. The vault is rigged with a failsafe mechanism that is rumored to be a miracle of engineering.
If we don't shut down the failsafe when we enter the vault, then we're not coming out.
To get a better idea of what the vault is like, the crew intends to scout the bank. Simon calls the cleaning service and cancels the bank cleaning for the next day, pretending to be a bank employee. This way they can scout the bank by disguising themselves as a cleaning crew. These events coincide with the 2010 World Cup, in which Spain is contending for the championship title, so the entire city of Madrid is filled with passionate fans rooting for their national team. James is a former Special Forces operative, so his fingerprints will probably alert the authorities that something is wrong. He can't scout the bank. Tom volunteers to go in his place since he's the only one left who knows how to work with a magnetometer.
I know how to use it. I'm an engineer.
On the next day, Simon and Tom drive in a cleaning service van to the bank and attempt to pass security. A guard conducts a thorough search of the van, but he doesn't find anything out of the ordinary, so he allows them inside. Meanwhile, Lorraine enters the bank in disguise and under a fake name, pretending to be a rich art dealer that needs to evaluate paintings in the bank with a scanner.
I'm Gustavo Medina, head of security.
Piacere.
While talking to Gustavo, Lorraine cleverly tricks him into leaving his fingerprints on her cup of coffee. Simon and Tom are cleaning the bank and slowly move towards the basement, where Gustavo looks over the security camera footage with constant vigilance. Instructed by Klaus, who timed the intervals of the cameras, Simon manages to avoid detection when he enters the room with servers that handle the bank security system, and places inside one of them sophisticated hacking equipment that allows Klaus to get full access to the system. Meanwhile, Munoz, one of the security guards, escorts Lorraine into a room with expensive paintings and leaves. Lorraine hides the coffee cup that has Gustavo's fingerprints on it. She goes over the painting with a scanner, after which Klaus loops the video footage of her working with a painting and puts it on for Gustavo to see, while in reality, Lorraine starts cracking a safe behind the other painting. Lorraine opens a safe and retrieves one of the 2 keys to the vault. She uses a scanner to create a perfectly accurate digital copy of the key. Klaus uses the same camera trick to give Tom access to a conference room where he sets up a magnetometer under the large table and starts scanning the vault mechanism that is right below the conference room. Having scanned the first key, Lorraine rushes to hide it back into the safe. And just in time, because she is suddenly joined by Mariano Bellido, the chairman of the bank.
I cannot please the artist.
It's my wife.
It's a big problem because Gustavo still sees the old footage of Lorraine scanning the picture, so she cleverly asks Bellido to take a photo of her scanning the painting. He's still in the frame, so she awkwardly asks him to take one from the other side of the room. The old man reluctantly complies and walks out of the frame. This way, when the camera switches to real footage, it looks like nothing has changed, so Gustavo doesn't notice anything. Another problem arises when a big crowd of bankers heads towards the conference room, where Tom is still working with the magnetometer.
We need to abort.
No, we won't get a second chance.
Since there is no time to run, Tom decides to simply hide under the table and wait until the device finishes its work. Lorraine is escorted into a room with a second key. Bellido leaves the room. Since this room has no cameras, Lorraine opens the safe, extracts the key, and starts scanning it without problems. The magnetometer process gets stuck. Tom tries to fix it but inadvertently causes a power surge that triggers a fire alarm. Everyone runs out of the room, giving Tom a chance to flee. Gustavo orders the entire bank to be sealed off, prohibiting anyone from leaving until he orders otherwise. Soldiers move out of their barracks and quickly surround the bank, leaving no chance for anyone to leave. Alerted by Klaus about the chairman approaching her, Lorraine grabs the second key and reluctantly leaves the room, with the safe still open inside, since Lorraine is forced to go downstairs along with everyone else. Walter orders her to covertly drop the key into Tom's hands. He goes to the room, puts the key back into the safe, and then closes it. Klaus alerts Tom that a guard is approaching the room. Instead of hiding, Tom cleverly puts earphones in his ears, claiming that he didn't hear the fire alarm. It works, and the annoyed guard simply escorts him downstairs to the rest. The extensive search gives no results, so Gustavo reluctantly allows his men to release the people held in the bank. Sometime later, the crew analyzes the scans that were made by the magnetometer. Despite the gaps in the scans, Tom is able to deduce that the vault sits on a giant scale underneath a large water reservoir. If the weight on the scale fluctuates even a little bit, the vault is automatically sealed off and filled with water, drowning the robbers inside.
So what's the solution?
I don't know, but we know what the problem is.
Tom spends days working on the scale problem, but the solution still eludes him. Checking on his progress, Lorraine finds out that he may have feelings for her. Meanwhile, Simon and James double their efforts to find a tunnel that leads directly to the vault. They eventually find a small passageway that leads them inside a large room where the foundation of the vault is located. Looking at the supporting beams of the foundation up close, they realize that it's a scale.
She was right. It is a scale.
Scanning the wall, the two discover some bad news. Apparently, the wall of the vault is made of titanium-reinforced concrete, so thick that it would take many months to drill it without raising the alarm. Utterly disappointed with the discovery, Walter angrily leaves the cafe. The team assumes that the heist is cancelled. While walking the streets, Walter rethinks the plan while listening to the loud, cheerful screams of the football fans below. Observing them, Walter gets an idea. He looks through the binoculars and notices that all the security cameras in the street are pointed directly at the crowd of people that gathered in Sibley Square to watch the game on the big screens, creating a blind spot around the bank. Walter realizes that during the World Cup final, it will be the same, giving the crew 105 minutes to infiltrate the bank from the top, steal the treasure from the vault, and leave before cameras point at the bank again. Excited about the new idea, the crew cheerfully watches the match between Spain and Germany as they desperately need Spain to win this match to participate in the final. Spain wins. A large crowd of Madrid fans gathered in Sibley Square happily celebrates their national team's victory. However, Tom is still struggling with the scale problem. At the bank, Munoz talks to the janitor. In a casual conversation, he informs Munoz that on the day when the fire alarm went off, their company wasn't cleaning the bank because someone called off the cleaning on that day. Being perceptive, Gustavo immediately realizes that the fake janitors were in fact robbers that were scouting the bank for a future heist. He looks into security files with Simon's and Tom's photos. Checking with the police, he finds out that they used fake names. Gustavo presents this information to the chairman Belito, suggesting that these two men are planning a robbery. By going through the security system, the crew accidentally finds out to their dismay that Gustavo is after them.
Gustavo Medina knows someone's after the vault. Place is a trap.
James is becoming increasingly disillusioned with the plan, blaming Tom for all their problems. Walter asks for help from Margaret, who works for the British MI6 service. Instructed by Walter, she lies to the Spanish government, telling them that the two men who infiltrated the bank were just arrested in London after having scouted banks all over Europe. Despite Gustavo's passionate objections, Bellido considers the matter closed. He refuses to interfere with the fans' rights to watch the game in Sibley Square. Seeing that Tom is burning out from the stress that was put on him, Lorraine tells him to take a break with her. They go to a club and have a good time, dancing to an upbeat tune. Later in the bar, Lorraine reveals to Tom that Walter raised her after her parents died. While they're talking, Tom notices a bartender using liquid nitrogen to freeze the glasses before putting cocktails in them. This gives Tom an ingenious yet simple idea. He later demonstrates it to the group. Tom uses a scale to measure the weight of water in a glass. He then removes the glass and covers the scale with liquid nitrogen. Tom puts the glass with water on the scale again, but this time the weight doesn't register because the mechanism of the scale is frozen. Similar to this experiment, they can defeat the scale in the vault by freezing it with 500 liters of liquid nitrogen.
He's genius, Tom.
It's simple.
Despite objections from James, Tom insists that he must go with them inside the bank during the robbery. They go over the details of the plan. Klaus uses a scanner to read Gustavo's fingerprints from the coffee cup Lorraine obtained earlier and creates a rubber thumbprint for them to use in the robbery. Using the key scans made by Lorraine, he also recreates the metal keys to the vault. Meanwhile, Simon obtains liquid nitrogen. On the night before the robbery, the group gets together and follows the ancient no-regret tradition. Before a dangerous voyage, sailors would drink rum and talk about what they regret in their lives. On July 11th, the World Cup is going to end in a final match between Spain and the Netherlands. Sibley Square is slowly filled with thousands and thousands of passionate football fans. Meanwhile, every member of the crew gets in position, preparing for the heist. James, Tom, and Lorraine get to the rooftop of the building neighboring the bank.
All right, guys. Here we go.
James shoots a grappling hook at the bank's roof, after which the three use the rope to get to the other side. Arriving at the roof, they move to the glass ceiling of the bank and remove one of the panels. Klaus puts camera footage downstairs on a loop, giving the three robbers 50 seconds to descend into an empty bank foyer and quickly get out of the camera's way. They move upstairs but are soon stopped by a patrol of armed guards. Advised by Klaus, they manage to avoid detection and get inside one of the rooms, from where they proceed through the ventilation. After a long, tiresome crawl, they end up inside an elevator shaft. The first half of the football match is over. The crew is getting behind schedule. James descends on a steel cable towards the elevator. Tom and Lorraine follow him and get inside the elevator, after which they open its doors and enter a large room. The path leads to the other side of an abyss, so the three robbers assemble a long ladder and lower it onto the other side. Tom carefully climbs the ladder, but he gets very nervous and almost falls down from worrying too much.
Look at me. You're good.
Lorraine calms him down, so Tom successfully crosses the abyss. James follows him, but almost falls down as well because the other side of the ladder is slipping. In a sudden burst of heroism, Tom catches him at the last possible moment and manages to pull him up, saving his life.
I'll buy you flowers.
The next door has a lock that expects a 6-digit code entered. Klaus deciphers the code, allowing the three to get inside. They're about to enter the vault itself through the enormous metal door. James puts on a replica of Gustavo's thumb and uses it to open the electronic lock. Next, Lorraine and Tom simultaneously use the metal keys they manufactured earlier, opening the mechanical lock. James and Tom open the metal door. Looking inside, they find the crates containing the treasure of Guadalupe. Finally, the last part of the plan commences when Simon starts using liquid nitrogen to freeze the vault scale inside the underground chamber. He uses multiple canisters of the substance to get the job done. Once all the liquid nitrogen is used, the entire structure begins to freeze, making the floor of the vault freeze as well.
I'll go first. If I'm wrong, so me.
Tom goes first and approaches the crates. The plan worked perfectly as the scale didn't move. The three robbers rush to open the crates and start looking for the chest, with Francis Drake's coins. They don't have much time because the nitrogen is melting fast. Lorraine found the chest. Munoz and Gustavo notice an alarm going off in the foyer. Gustavo sends his guards to check it out. They are surprised to find out that it's a pigeon and soon find an opening in the ceiling. Apparently, having left one of the glass panels open, the trio allowed the bird to fly inside the bank, which triggered the alarm. Now, Gustavo knows that the security system has been tampered with because he would have seen the robbers on camera otherwise. He quickly mobilizes both guards and soldiers from the garrison, leaving the robbers no chance to escape. Realizing that any attempts to leave are futile, Walter orders the trio to surrender to the guards. In an unexpected twist, James refuses to surrender and pulls a gun on the other two, demanding they hand over the coins. Turns out James, being a former Special Forces operative, has been working for the British government all along. Wasting time on pointless chatter, the trio comically fails to realize that the scale is working again. The vault locks down, trapping them inside. Demoralized by the prospect of drowning in the vault, the three robbers helplessly wait for their death. Hatches in the walls open, flooding the vault with water very quickly. James says goodbye to the two.
I'm sorry, Lorraine.
Being an experienced diver, he dives underwater and swims out of the vault. The water level is rising fast, putting Tom and Lorraine in a panic while they're arguing with Walter.
Shut up!
Realizing that the water flow will only stop when the weight on the scale reaches a certain level, Tom tells Simon to stack the empty nitrogen canisters onto the scale for additional weight. Meanwhile, Gustavo sends his men to find the hacking device that allowed the robbers to control the security system. A technician removes the device, giving Gustavo full access to every camera and sensor in the bank. He curiously looks at Tom and Lorraine as they struggle to stay above the water. Klaus and Walter lose contact with the two, assuming they had drowned, but they're still alive and symbolically hold hands. Simon doesn't give up and puts everything on the scale, including himself and his radio. This miraculously stops the flow of water at the last possible moment, saving Tom and Lorraine. Gustavo sends his men to the vault. The metal door opens automatically. Security guards are surprised to find out that the robbers have escaped. Gustavo arrives, baffled by their miraculous disappearance. However, walking away from the vault, he notices water dripping from the ceiling. He opens the hatch and hears Tom and Lorraine as they're going through the ventilation. Tom and Lorraine leave the ventilation. They run out of the room and head to the third floor, pursued by armed men. Tom and Lorraine enter Chairman Bolito's office and get out through the window. Gustavo and his men approach the office and go in, only to find out that the robbers have escaped and disappeared in the crowd of football fans in Cibeles Square. Seeing that the soldiers are after them, Tom and Lorraine cleverly take off their clothes and attempt to merge with the crowd in their Spanish national team t-shirts. But the soldiers are still after them, so the two give up, thinking it's over.
I'm sorry. No regrets.
They kiss passionately. Seconds later, the Spanish national team scores a goal, winning the World Cup. The entire square explodes with wild celebration, giving Tom and Lorraine a chance to flee using the chaos as a distraction. On the next day, Walter has a meeting with Margaret. It is revealed that she manipulated him from the start, tricking him into getting the coins. Later, James delivers the coins to Margaret, Her experts decipher the location of Francis Drake's treasures. In an unexpected twist, she realizes that Walter tricked her. He instructed Lorraine to switch the coins in the vault because he knew that James was going to betray him. The crew uses the real coins to determine that Francis Drake's treasure is buried under the Bank of England in London. 2 years later, during the 2012 London Olympics, they begin a new heist. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.